It's still surreal to me to be playing in the Super Bowl again. I want to go out there and be mentioned with the greats. More than anything, I want this team to be remembered.
You got to play well. I mean, that's always what it comes down to. You can talk about all the hoopla that goes on with all the other stuff.
Mahomes gunning it long. Touchdown!
Your team got here for a reason, so lean on them and don't let the moment be too big for you.
Honestly, the 3P hasn't really been talked about. You know, we know it's a goal, but each week sets its own new opportunity to go out there and play.
My goal at the end of the year is to win the Super Bowl and nothing else matters.
The Chiefs are the fourth team ever to make 3 straight Super Bowls, along with the Bills in the early 90s, the Patriots in the mid-2010s, and the Dolphins in the early 70s. None of the previous 3 were able to win 3 straight. KC could be the first. And we're going to find out in just a couple days. Here we are. That looks like a nice tugboat going on. We got the fans out here. Actually, I think right now there's more Eagles fans than Chiefs fans, and then there's just some New Orleans fans.
You can feel it, buddy.
That's what I am. I'm a New Orleans fan. All right, Marcus Spears, Mina Kimes, Ryan Clark, Dan Orlovsky.
Hey, the Eagles fans are deep.
How you guys doing out there? That's what I thought. I love it. All right, we got a lot to get to, including game picks. We're going to pick the Super Bowl coming up later on in the show. But, Mina, as we look at Mahomes and the game plan for Kansas City this week, what do you expect it to look like?
I expect them to use a lot of 12 personnel, 2 tight ends, and I think the Eagles will match that with nickel, which is what they normally do, just a couple of linebackers. So if that happens, as I anticipate, what I'm curious is, 1, can Kansas City take advantage of the size discrepancy to run the football? And that's not just about Isaiah Pacheco. That's about Patrick Mahomes. Last week, he was the most efficient runner. I think about the touchdown where they were in the full house formation with 2 tight ends.
Early downs.
That was against Buffalo's nickel. That's the kind of thing you're going to see in this game. And then the other thing I think, again, if you get that personnel matchup, is whether the Chiefs can use their tight ends to attack the Eagles' linebackers and safeties. This was something you saw in the NFC Championship. That offense ran through Zach Ertz. They had him lined up tight to the formation, inside bunches, trying to get him on Zach Bond and Reed Blankenship. I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to do the same thing.
Yeah, to your point, MK, what's your plan for Patrick Mahomes on 3rd down? And the improvisational skills that he has, along with Travis Kelce, but more importantly, his legs. Y'all know I talk about this every playoffs. This is a critical down game. That's what it's going to come down to. Who makes the plays in critical downs? Who goes above and beyond the X's and O's? And a superstar makes a play on a critical 3rd down. Defensively, you just have to be so attached to Patrick Mahomes. And I think the Philadelphia Eagles, especially with Vic Fangio, who likes to keep everything in front of him, probably will serve them better not to get too overly aggressive on Pat Mahomes on 3rd down and think more coverage and less scatter to the football if he decides to take off.
Yeah, and I think utilizing the middle of the field will be huge for the Kansas City Chiefs. And not only in using Travis Kelce, but if you could get some of the wide receivers involved, as we saw last week against the Buffalo Bills. Here you see this motion by Xavier Worthy, which indicates man as Tyron Johnson runs over to be the nickel in press coverage. Now you're going to see Travis Kelce can locate it exactly where Johnson is, even evade him, but make him bubble over the top. And when you have someone like Xavier Worthy and you give him this sort of space to the field with that sort of acceleration, he can create a big play out of a short crosser. Now here you're going to see a way that they attack the blitz, and we watched a sack against the Los Angeles Rams where they brought 6 from the Philadelphia Eagles, but they vacated the middle of the field. Juju Smith-Schuster is going to work inside right off of the release. Patrick Mahomes puts the football on his back shoulder, which allows him to rotate out of the tackle and get yards after the catch. If they can utilize the middle of the field and make the Philadelphia Eagles either in that zone or play man-to-man, yards after the catch are going to be huge this week. You have a team offensively that lives and feeds off of it, and a team defensively in Philadelphia that doesn't give up a lot of yardage.
Yeah, it's a fascinating matchup. Marcus mentioned not being overly aggressive if you're Philadelphia's defense. How would you approach it with what RC just showed, all the things they can do?
Well, from an offensive perspective, you watch Philly's defense and you're always trying to find out, is there something schematically you could take advantage of, or if there's a human you can? The answer is no for both, and that's the concern of your Kansas City's offense. We know, one, they love the perimeter stuff. We'll call it the RPO. I just think Philly defends the RPO so well, leverage-wise. They do such a good job of getting on the outside, and then the run element of the RPO. Like, they do a fantastic job of playing gap sound, taking on a double team, the flow over the top, where you don't feel great either way if you're Kansas City throwing it or running it. And the second thing, they want to get chunks in their pass game. I have found that this is the most communicating secondary in the NFL, where the way that they'll kick their coverage, the way that they'll understand how teams are trying to attack that zone defense. And I think if you're Kansas City, while you love your RPO game, you got to respect how well Philly defends it. And when you try to create your chunk passing game, the way that they pass things off is such a challenge for an offense, because for times you're like, oh, it's going to be there. Then you're like, no, they collapsed it. And that's a challenge.
The other thing is, though, Dan, they see this the entire offseason. You see,
they know their weakness
in training camp. When you're playing a football team that has an offense that mirrors a lot of things that other people do in the RPO game, the chunk game, you get used to communicating.
You're saying they see it from their own offense.
Absolutely. Absolutely,
much.
absolutely.
Yeah, sometimes those matchups, good on good in practice, can end up getting you to this point in the season. We'll be on this game all show long, obviously, but time now. A top story is presented by Lay's, and we turn our attention to the NFL honors last night, where Josh Allen took home the MVP award. Big moment for Josh. Now, with Lamar Jackson being named first team All-Pro, Allen becomes just the third player ever to win MVP and miss out on first team. The only other two are Steve McNair, who was co-MVP, the first teamer Peyton Manning in 2003, and John Elway, who missed out on first team to Joe Montana in 1987. Wow. Mina, you're a voter, Dan's a voter. Any issues with the voters on this one? Allen winning MVP over Lamar Jackson.
I mean, look, I voted for Lamar. The votes are public. We were split on this show. It was a dead heat. It was extremely close. The only wrong take on MVP is that it was obvious between these two.
Yeah,
because it was not obvious and it went down to the wire. I will say the reason why I voted for Lamar really quickly, 4,000 passing yards, 900 rushing yards, first quarterback to ever do that. Almost broke the record for passer rating, played a harder slate of defenses, and then in their head-to-head matchup came out on top. So that was the difference for me. I know with Bills, people point to Allen being more valuable maybe because of the pieces around him. I do think people underrate how good that offensive line is. That was another thing I took into consideration. But like I said, this was very close.
There's 5 guys worthy of MVP this year.
Yeah.
One won it. Lamar could have won it. Joe Burrow could have won it. Jamar Chase could have won it. Saquon Barkley could have won it. So I think that I voted for Josh because I thought Josh had, with those guys that had those great seasons, he had one of those great seasons with the least amount of support around him in comparison. That's why I voted for Josh.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at this, I thought Lamar was the MVP this year for many of the reasons that Mina mentioned, but I have no issue with Josh Allen winning this award. He was amazing the entire season. I felt like he elevated his team, and a lot of it was about what he didn't do as much as what he did do. He pulled back on some of the things that caused his team wins in other seasons, and I believe that's as much as a progression and a testament to his game as the statistics are.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. We need to obviously announce that it's a quarterback award. I thought Saquon Barkley was the most valuable player in the NFL this year. And it's because of how much he changed the dynamic of how this offense looked. I know a lot of people point to 2 years ago, this was a dynamic offense. The running backs went over 1,000 yards. Not like that. And I think he is the reason. I believe this in my heart of hearts. If Eagles walk away from this game, it'll be because of Saquon Barkley, and he hasn't been stopped every time we saw him step on the field.
Let me give you the craziest stat. He's got 20 touchdowns this year. The average length of those 20 touchdowns, 32 yards.
That's insane. That is so all right, he did win Offensive Player of the Year. And he did
ain't enough, Boogie.
Come away with the Comeback Player of the Year. But, man, it just speaks to the quality of the NFL this season. Now, here's a look at the class of 2025 Hall of Famers.
Oh, yeah.
Eric Allen, Jared Allen, Antonio Gates, and Sterling Sharp. It's the first time 4 or fewer people were elected than...
All right, Chiefs Kingdom, let's talk about it. How many more Super Bowls can Patrick Mahomes win? Could he actually surpass Tom Brady and become the undisputed GOAT? Some say it's impossible. 7 rings, that's a mountain only Brady has climbed. But Mahomes is still young, already has multiple titles, and plays in an era where quarterbacks dominate longer than ever. The debate is heating up, and even NFL legends like Shannon Sharp are saying that if Mahomes gets 5, that's enough to call him the greatest of all time. But there's a big question hanging over all of this. Can Mahomes keep winning at this level without his most trusted weapon, Travis Kelce? How much of Mahomes' success depends on Kelce, and what happens when he's gone? What do you think? Does Mahomes have a real shot at surpassing Brady? Drop your take in the comments. Let's be real. Mahomes without Travis Kelce is like a barbecue without sauce. Sure, it might still be good, but something's missing. Kelce isn't just a great tight end. He's Mahomes' go-to guy when the game is on the line. Look at the numbers. In the playoffs, Mahomes completes 84% of his passes when targeting Kelce. For everyone else, 60%. That's a massive drop-off. When the Chiefs need a big play, it's usually Asher 87 who finds a way to get open, especially against zone defenses. And that's the problem for defenses. Teams like the Eagles try to take Kelce out of the game, but even when they know what's coming, they struggle to stop it. The chemistry between Mahomes and Kelce is next level, almost telepathic. But here's the real question. Can Mahomes keep winning Super Bowls if Kelce isn't there? Tom Brady won without a superstar tight end for most of his career. Could Mahomes do the same? Let's settle this. Does Mahomes need an elite target to keep winning, or can he elevate any receiver? Vote in the comments. Yes if he needs one, no if he can win with anyone. If Mahomes wants to keep winning, the Chiefs need more than just Kelce. And guess what? New stars are already stepping up. One name you need to know, Xavier Worthy. He's becoming a real threat, especially against man coverage. Defenses focus on Kelsey, leaving Worthy with one-on-one matchups, and Mahomes is starting to trust him more. Sound familiar? It's how Brady evolved after losing his early targets. Then there's Juju Smith-Schuster. We've seen flashes of his potential in big moments. Add in a few more solid pieces, and suddenly the Chiefs' offense doesn't have to rely on just one guy. And let's not forget Andy Reid. He's a mastermind at adjusting the system, just like Belichick did for Brady over the years. So, here's the big question. If Kelsey retires or slows down, who's the next big target for Mahomes? Drop a name in the comments. Winning 2 Super Bowls is tough. Winning 5? That's legendary. And that's the conversation we're having with Mahomes right now. Look at Tom Brady. He won 3 rings early in his career, but it took him 10 years to get his 4th. Can Mahomes avoid that kind of championship drought? The competition is fierce. Unlike Brady's era in the AFC East, Mahomes is battling elite quarterbacks like Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen every year. Then there's the argument from Shannon Sharp. If Mahomes gets to 5 rings, does that make him the GOAT? Some say yes, others argue he still has a long way to go. But one thing's clear. He's building a legacy that could rival anyone in NFL history. The road won't be easy, but with his talent, coaching, and leadership, Mahomes has a real shot at making history. What do you think? How many Super Bowls will Mahomes win before he retires? Vote below. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus, GOAT status? So where does this leave us? Mahomes has already proven he's one of the best to ever do it, but his journey is far from over. Can he catch Brady? Maybe. But it won't be easy. We've talked about Kelsey's impact, the evolution of the Chiefs' offense, and the brutal competition in the AFC. The pieces are in place, but the NFL is unpredictable. One thing's for sure, Mahomes isn't done chasing greatness. Now it's your turn. Drop a comment. If you think Mahomes can surpass Brady, type GOAT. If not, tell us how many rings you think he'll win. And stick around. Next time, we're diving into Andy Reid's impact on Mahomes' success. Is he the greatest coach of the modern era? Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss it.